Okay, so when we're adding fractions, we have to have a common denominator. When we break this down, 3x, that can only be broken down to 3x. And then we have our 5y. 5 is a prime number, which can only be broken down to 5y. So when we look at creating our LCD, we don't have anything in common between both of our denominators. Each one of these is standing alone. So when I create my LCD, every single term has to be included. So I have to have a 3, a x, a 5, and a y. So let's go ahead and multiply that together. 3 times 5 is 15, and then xy. This is what my denominator has to be. My common denominator has to be 15xy. So we have 7 over 3x plus 2 over 5y. All right, so this first one, 3x, in order to change 3x to 15xy, to go from 3 to 15, we have to multiply it by 5, top and bottom. And we also have to put that y there because that y is not there. The second fraction, we have to multiply that by 3x. Because when you do that, this becomes 15xy, and this becomes 15xy. Remember, these have to be the same, and now they are the same. So my denominator is my 15xy, and then we just need to go across. So when we go across, we're going to multiply these. Okay, so 7 times 5y. What do you think you get when you take 7 times 5y? 35y, good. Now that addition sign, we're going to bring that down. And then we're going to multiply 2 times 3x. 6x. And that would be your final answer. Okay, so we're going to go back to page 5. Go to page 5 in your note packet because we skipped over 4 questions that will be on the test. And I want to make sure we kind of go back over that. Even though it's not a new skill, it's probably something that was covered in Integrated 1 and also Integrated 2. I just want to remind you how to do it. So going all the way back to page 5, we are multiplying these expressions. So page 5, I think the page numbers are at the bottom of the page, but sometimes they're not there. All right, so yes, there. Okay, so when you multiply, do we need to flip the second fraction when we multiply? Nope, so we're just gonna go straight across. And when we do that, we're multiplying the numbers and adding our exponents. So when I multiply 3 times 3, I get 9. This x has both of these have a 1. If you don't see an exponent, the exponent is 1. And then when I add 1 and 2, how many x's do you have in the top? 3. So we're going to put 3 x's at the top. And then I only have 1 y. Now let's do our denominator. Multiply the numbers. So that would be 2 times 9. 2 times 9 is 18. We only have 1 x. How many y's do you have when you add them together? 4. All right, any questions so far? So now we're just going to reduce it and clean it up. First thing we're going to do is reduce down this fraction 9 over 18. 9 over 18 can both be divided. We can divide both of these by 9. So when I divide 9 by 9, that becomes a 1. 18 divided by 9, that becomes 2. Now let's look at our exponents. I have 3 and I have 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. But we're going to put those where we have more. So do you see how I had more x's in the top than I had in the bottom? So when I subtract 3 minus 1, the 2 I have will go upstairs. So you put it where you started off with more. So my x squared is going to go upstairs. And then when you subtract your y's, I have 1 and 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3. Where do you think I'm going to put that, top or bottom? In the bottom, because I have more downstairs. We're on page 5, by the way. We have to go back. So that would be my final answer. So you multiply, make sure you're lining them up. I think it's easier if you line up the same letters, top and bottom, so you can easily figure out what goes where. All right, let's look at question B. Do I need to flip the second fraction? All right, let's go straight across. And I like to put my ones in. Anytime you don't see an exponent, it's 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put those ones in. Okay, so in the top, I just have a 2. So I'll put the 2 at the top. I have a squared at the top. How many b's do you see in the top? You have to add them. So when you're going across, 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 gives you 2. Now let's look at our denominator. 6 is at the bottom. I only have 1 a in the bottom. I have 2 b's in the bottom, and I also have a c. So it's easier to just kind of put them in alphabetical order. So now we're ready to do our cleanup. When we do our cleanup, we reduce the fraction. So I'm going to start off with 2 over 6. 2 over 6, you can divide both of those by 2. So my new fraction becomes 1/3. Now let's subtract our exponents. I have 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs. 2 minus 1 is 1. But where am I going to put that 1 apple? Top. Because I have more upstairs. So I'm going to put that A in the top. With our B's, we have 2 and 2. What is 2 minus 2? 2 minus 2 is 0, so that just cancels out. We don't have any of those. And then I have 1C at the bottom, and that 1C is going to stay. And that would be your final answer. Who remembers this from integrated 1? I think it was in integrated 1 and integrated 2. All right, so let's look at question C. When it's division, what do we have to do with the second fraction? Flip it. Yeah, we have to do our keep, change, flip. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this. D to the 5th over 6C D. And I always put my little exponents when there's not one there. Change the division sign to multiplication and flip. So 4C, that moves up. 3C cubed D squared moves down. All right, now we're ready to multiply. So I have a 4 upstairs, 1 cat, 5 dogs. That's what I have upstairs. Downstairs, I have 6 times 3, which is 18. How many cats do you have? When you add them all up, you have to add them up going across. So 1 plus 3 is 4. And for my D variable, I have 1 plus 2, which is 3. Okay, so now we're ready to do our cleanup. First thing we do is reduce down that 4 over 18. So 4 over 18, both of those can be divided by 2. So go ahead and do that. Divide your 4 and 18 by 2. You have to do them separately. So 4 over 18 is going to become 2 over 9. Now let's look at our variables. I have 1 cat upstairs and 4 cats downstairs. So we need to subtract. 4 minus 1 is 3. And we're going to put those 3 at the bottom because I had more in the bottom to begin with. So we got 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I'm going to put those 2 in the top because that's where I had more to begin with. And this would be my final answer. All right, one more. Do we have to flip the second fraction? All right, let's do that. Let's do our rewrite. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try and work through this one on your own, and then we'll come back together. Okay, so in the top, I have only 14. There's no number to multiply it by. There's an invisible 1. So now I'm going to start adding up my variables. So I have 1x and 1x. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. Then I look at my y's. I have 2 and 1. 2 plus 1 gives me 3. And there was only one zebra. It's my favorite animal at the zoo. And that's upstairs. All right, now let's look at our denominator. I have 3 times 12. 3 times 12 is 36. And then when I look at my x's, I only have 2. So there will be 2 downstairs. And when I look at my y's, there's only 3. 3 on the second one. So that's the only 3 that would be downstairs. And when I look at my z's, I have 1 and 1, which is 2. So that would be here. All right, who had that in the beginning? Okay, good. All right, so now we're ready to do our cleanup. When we do our cleanup, we reduce our fraction. First of all, on the test, if you make it here, you've already got half of the points. You're already halfway there. The last half of the points is in the cleanup. So we're going to take our 14 over 36. Both of those are what we call even numbers, so we know we can divide them by 2. That's what I would start off with. So go ahead, take 14 divided by 2, and then take the 36 and divide that by 2. So we know we can cut both of those numbers in half, so that would give us a 7 over 18. And then we're ready to take care of our variables. With our x's, we had 2 upstairs and 2 downstairs. 2 minus 2 is 0. So our final answer has no x's. We look at our y's. 3 upstairs, 3 downstairs. 3 minus 3, also 0. So we have no y's. And then lastly, we look at our zebras. There was 1 upstairs and 2 downstairs. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So what we have there, I just want to make sure we understand. When I say we have 2 upstairs, I'm saying I have 1 and then 2 like that. That's what that means. This is going to cancel, which is why the 1 I have left is at the bottom. And this would be your final answer. Now, this is a test question, but we really didn't practice it a lot. We didn't have a whole lot. So what I want you to do, everybody take your note packet. Can I see your note packet real quick, Juan? Take your note packet and go to the very back, right here. See how this back page has nothing on it? We're going to do 2 more examples on this very back page. So go to the very, very back. Thank you. Copy down this question on the back, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to try to work through that on your own, and then we'll go through it as a class. So go to the very, very back. We have that page. Yeah. Well, no, the very, very back.
So basically,
Or you could do it on a separate sheet of paper, whichever way you prefer. We're only doing 2 questions. 2 more.
so basically, it's just across.
Yeah, just go all the way across. If you want to, you can divide the back page in half. We're going to do 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. You can write it on a separate sheet of paper. Did you have to flip the second fraction for this one? Nope, because it's not division. Yep, I don't remember the answer, but that looks good. Who has an answer? Anybody still working? Need a little bit more time? All right, so take another minute and we'll go through it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at it together. So first thing first, I'm going to multiply my numbers. So 4 times 5 is 20. And then these have invisible ones. So I'm going to add together 2 and 1. 2 and 1 is 3. Then I'm going to add the y's. 3 and 1. 3 and 1 is 4. Then we're going to look at our denominator. 3 times 2 gives you 6. And then 5 and 4. 5 and 4 is 9. And then there's only one y at the bottom. So that would be y to the first. So who had that to start? All right, you got half the points. So then we're going to reduce our numbers. So 20 and 6, they're both even. So we can divide those both by 2. If you look at your multiplication chart, 2 is the only column where you're going to see both of them together. So that becomes a 10 over 3. I have 3 upstairs and 9 downstairs. When I subtract 9 minus 3, 9 minus 3 is 6. Where am I putting that? Up or down?
Up, down.
Down, because I have more down. And then with my y's, 4 minus 1 is 3, and that's going to go up. All right, just curious, who had that answer? Okay, that's not bad. All right, one last question and we're done. Go ahead and write this one down on the back. Do we have to flip our second fraction this time?
Yes.
Yes, because it's division. So you're going to start this one out with the keep, change, flip. Somebody get him. Excuse me. Excuse me. Can you sit up for me? Thank you. Sorry, continue, y'all. So we are multiplying our numbers and adding our exponents. So when we do our 3 times 15, sorry, 3 times 5, I gave you the answer. 3 times 5 is 15. And we're adding our exponents, so I have 4 plus 1, which gives me 5. 1 plus 6, which gives me 7. In my denominator, I have 6 times 4, which is 24. 2 plus 3, which is 5. And 1 plus 7, which is 8. All right, so we got half our points. All we have to do now is do our cleanup. So 15 and 24. Show me with your fingers, what number can you divide that with? Both of them. Yep, by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 24 divided by 3 is 8. When you subtract your exponents, 5 minus 5 is 0. So we don't have any x's in my answer. For my y's, I have 8 minus 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. And I had more downstairs, so I'm going to put that 1 in the bottom. So this would be my final answer. All right, everyone take out homework 2. And we're all working on homework 2 for the rest of class. It's due on Tuesday. And can you also write, well, just so you know that our test is now, I think I already said that, but our test has been moved to Thursday. Thursday, April 24th. If you need help with the homework, please ask for help. That's what I'm here for. So ask for help if you have any questions.